Chapter 4. The Journey. Genesis 12:1. It is said, the Lord had said to Abraham, "Leave your country, your people, your family, your father's household, go to the land that I will show you." At that moment, I just knew something mighty and great was going to happen. A sense of relief came over me, although I was thinking in the back of my mind that there were going to be some obstacles that would come our way, because when God is working his plan, the devil, Satan, is working on the plan as well. We already know that the devil's job is to come and steal and disrupt the plan God has for you. But I dare not let those thoughts enter my head. It would be giving the devil too much credit, and I, for one, would not allow that. Because of the long drive, we thought it would be a good and clever idea to stop in Tennessee, where my sister lived, stay overnight, get some rest, and start over the next day. It was an 8-hour drive from Illinois, leaving us with 14 hours to reach our destination. After the well-needed rest at my sister's house, we got up early the next morning. We wanted to get on the road early to beat some of the traffic. The sun came up, the weather was good for traveling. It was a perfect day to continue. After passing through the different states, when we got to Atlanta, I knew we were getting close. I began to get this sigh of relief knowing that we were in Florida. As the weather began to change because we left during the fall, I could feel the difference in the atmosphere. It seemed like a new world was opening up for me. It is happening. I am there. The piece of my puzzle is coming together. We finally made it. We were in Florida. I started feeling optimistic about our future. We met our children at the house that they had rented, unloaded the things we were able to bring the car with us, and got settled into the room that was set aside for me and my husband. After taking a rest, I immediately called the realtor to let her know that we had arrived and to set a date for us to look at the apartment. She immediately got on it and told us if we could be available the next day. We agreed to meet at 10 o'clock the following morning. We tried to carefully plan this trip considering the cost of the moving to another state. We needed to watch our budget. We did not leave any room for any crisis that may occur. Having been a business owner, pastoring a church, and the many responsibilities that came along, our credit score took a hit. We knew it was going to be a challenge, but our hopes were God would grant us favor and things would work out. My faith was in Him and not the circumstances anyway. This was a brazen move to have to give up so much and take a chance that things would work out. But for me, it was worth it to gain the peace I so dearly needed. The next day, we met up with the realtor at the location of the apartment complex. When we arrived, I noticed the apartment did not look like the picture we saw on the internet. I was not impressed, but I tried to keep an open mind. Also, the location was on the 3rd floor. The realtor could sense early on that I was not pleased. Of course, I gave it the benefit of the doubt. I would not pass judgment until we saw the entire apartment. After entering the rooms again, it was not what I had envisioned it to be. The realtor tried hard to convince us it would work out, but to no avail. She then said, "There is another apartment I think will be more to your liking." We followed her to another apartment complex in a prestigious part of Florida. When we arrived, I was overjoyed by what I saw. The complex was beautiful. It had a gated community effect and with a landscaping that was so amazing. I am thinking to myself, we may have bitten off more than we can chew. I know we are not going to be able to afford this from where I was looking at. I remember smiling at my husband and saying to him, "Now this is my kind of living." My realtor took us to meet the office manager. I noticed right away the office manager was wearing a cross necklace. She had the most pleasant smile on her face when she greeted us. My realtor explained that we were relocating from out of town, looking to settle into a nice area. She thought this would be a good fit for us. Meantime, before giving us an application, she gave us a tour of the complex and discussed the amenities that came along with the rental. I was super excited about what I saw. After the tour, the office manager gave us an application to fill out. She began to ask questions regarding our background and what made us move to Florida. She was so pleasant to talk to. I knew right away that she was a Christian. While we were filling out the application, my realtor was in another room to give us privacy. Ironically, she asked us what was the hardest part about leaving Illinois, was except for the obvious. I said for me, the hardest part was leaving our church members. That was exceedingly difficult for us. We had been in ministry for over 10 years, and to give that up was hard indeed. To us, we left a big family behind, and the love for our church was second to none. That was the only time I would question, are we doing the right thing by leaving? So many souls needed our attention. She said, if you consulted God on your decision, then you did the right thing. I knew then we were in the right place. Here's a stranger I just met confirming what I already felt. After completing the application, she then took it to a room in the back to process it. I remember thinking, it is nice to know there are kind people in every state that love the Lord. After being gone for a few minutes, I noticed when she came back, her face was a little solemn. I could not exactly make out what that meant. In her soft voice, as she was sitting down in her chair, she said, your application was denied, and said, I'm so sorry, with disappointment. I said to her, no worries. If it was meant to be, it would have worked out. During this process, my realtor had not gotten the word she was speaking with another manager while we were doing this. As I stood up, all of a sudden, she asked me to sit down for a moment and that she would be right back. I was puzzled. My husband and I both looked disappointed as this was the second apartment we had seen. We felt great about this apartment and thought it would have been a great place to live. In the meantime, the office manager returned, and I noticed she had a different posture with a smile on her face. I was curious as what happened in that period. She said, you approved. I looked at my husband and said to him, what did she say? She said, we've been approved. My first instinct was to ask what happened, but the spirit in me said, do not ask any questions. God is working on your behalf. With excitement, I jumped up and hugged her with thanks. She said to me, I want you to live in this community. You're going to be a blessing. We then completed the information that was needed, gave her a check for our security deposit, and secured a date to move in. God sent us an angel in waiting. We did not even get a chance to explore any other options. I knew this was the place for us because it was my desire. I told my husband, therefore, I put my trust in the Lord. His word says he would never leave or forsake us.